It's been more than 10 years since South Africa has become a democracy. We've seen great progress in areas like housing, health and education. In education, we've seen the introduction of outcomes-based education. And a further step forward was made with the introduction of the revised National Curriculum Statement. However, we have to acknowledge that some schools still find themselves under-resourced. If there's something to be said about good teachers, it is that they are a creative and resourceful breed of people. There's a saying, if there's a will, there's a way. And this is also true of teaching. The passion to reach and teach young people burns brightly within many a teacher's heart. Their creativity in finding resources to use in their teaching knows no limits. Not all schools have the luxury of a well-equipped science lab, particularly primary schools. We're going to look at some innovative ways of trying to deal with this matter. Mrs. Kirsten Previtt at Brandon Primary School has been involved with science teaching workshops and also been involved with the curriculum planning. I'm sure she'll have some great ideas for us.
Thank you, miss.
I know, it's nice, eh?
I used some of his rice.
Back when I was at school, we used to use science textbooks to learn from. And I believe since the introduction of OBE and RNCS, you use different materials. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
I like to create my own material, and the more the better. It actually works from newspapers to magazines to nature to the facilities are around our school, the environment. It's so broad, it's limitless. This was when Venus was here.
Do your students enjoy the current news and the current events?
Totally. Any materials. I've got the Time magazine, internet materials from, my children bring me a whole wide range. Have you seen this, Mrs. Previtt? And I say, oh, that's fabulous. They keep their eyes open for stuff as well.
Talking of newspapers, the folks at Sunday Times have a whole team of people dedicated to the development of an excellent supplement. Encourage your learners to bring them from home and try and also file one away for future use. These materials aren't even expensive.
We make models out of recyclable materials. The kids are only allowed to buy paint and they're only allowed to buy glue. Everything else must be recyclable, a Coke can, a ball that's gone flat. Pipe cleaners, bath chains, go through Dad's garage, scrap and find nuts and bolts and old things that are virtually junk. Hi guys. Right, I want to see what you've brought from home to make our arthropods.
This for the pollen bags.
Okay. I also thought of maybe using this as well for the bags.
And then this maybe for the compound eye.
And there was also the egg box for the compound eye.
All right, I would like to see how we use all these bits and pieces. A good collection. I'm glad to see you good kids doing your homework. It's very nice. Right, I want to see you plan it, put it together. Go ahead.
Okay.
About there?
There.
Yeah, perfect.
Is it going in?
Yeah, that should be about right.
No, when you put the eyes on, you can see it much better.
What about books, Mrs. Previtt?
Books, I do collect a whole range of textbooks. The bigger selection of stuff I have, the better my choice can be. But I don't purchase one textbook for my kids to work from. So for my ideas, the more I have, the better it's going to be.
Can you tell us about the equipment that you use in your science class?
Equipment in the science lab traditionally has been your expensive equipment. That was sort of the viewpoint. What we're going to do, it's going to be a little bit messy, so if we can just work in the the tray that I've got here. Somebody can fill it up to about 300 mils of vinegar. Okay, 100 mils of water. So up to the 400. We're moving away from that and bringing in the idea of everyday items that we find around our home to encourage maximum participation when doing investigations. You can use your everyday sort of cheap and inexpensive equipment like this syringe. It's purchased at a pharmacy and it actually is easier to use and to operate than some of the bigger pipettes, burettes, measuring cylinders, and it's less messy as well. We can use just the pie dish for pieces to gather the liquid that overflows, that instead of using your glass troughs for your water investigations. It's simple, inexpensive, can purchase at your local supermarket. Measuring cups found in your kitchen, used in baking, are also fabulous measuring devices. They work very well. If you need smaller amounts, you can use your measuring spoons just around your home. Simple, great idea is to use this. This has got measurements up to 120 mils. It was taken out of my washing powder. It's the scoop for putting it into the washing machine. We also have the idea of a cut-off Coke bottle, which becomes a funnel. A simple way of creating heat is to use a purity jar or a small jar, like an anchovette, fill it with methylated spirits, put your piece of string in, make a hole in the top with a nail, and there you've got your gas burner or your spirit lamp. We can use pegs for clamps, straws for lifting bits and pieces of fluid from one container into another.
What can the learners do to help Resource Science Lab?
I get my kids to keep their eyes open. That's the key point. If we are doing crustacea, I ask my kids, whoever lives near a river or a pond, please bring me crabs. We look under rocks for your wood lice. We scurry under leaves for your spiders and try and get the real specimen in the classroom. If we're doing fish, I do a dissection on fish, where it's relatively inexpensive to buy a frozen pilchard. We dissect it, we look at the gill structure, and each kid actually has an on-hand opportunity to see for themselves. Today we're going to be making a crystal garden with our solutions. What we've got here, we've got some salt, some bluing, some water, ammonia, sponges, food coloring, and bits and pieces to put all of this in. How we're going to do it is we're going to take the sponge, put it in the container. Right, then in this cup, we measure 1/4 of a cup of salt, and we're going to put it into the other container.
That's perfect.
1/4 of a cup of bluing in. There we go. Right, that looks good. 2 tablespoons of ammonia. Okay. You mix it all together. Careful with it. It's quite powerful.
I trust that the teacher needs to make sure that things are safe within a classroom.
Of course, my kids are very important to me, and so if anything happens, I would feel very guilty that I was not cautious enough. When we, for example, light gas burners, I make sure my children's faces, I always tell them faces away, and I light the gas burner. When it comes to poisonous chemicals, obviously we let the kids know. Be careful, handle this carefully. Do not sniff ammonia when we did our crystal gardens. You do your research first. This is a dangerous chemical, do not do this. Handle mercury thermometers carefully. Do not shake them and break them, because the mercury is highly poisonous. There are certain rules that are just standard. Do not run around the science lab, for one. When I say freeze, you freeze. It's a simple controlling and investigation every step of the way with your kids.
I'm fascinated with the use of home products. Can you elaborate on that?
We've got a couple of investigations that we do. One uses vinegar, household vinegar, where we put in water and food coloring, a couple of tablespoons of bicarb, put in a mothball, and you get this reaction. It's just fabulous. The kids are amazed at how the reaction happens and what they see. It's fantastic. We also can use milk in a pie dish with washing up liquid on the edge and food coloring, and it creates this kaleidoscope movement, which the kids are fascinated with as well. All of those easy and available materials. Wow! Crystal Gardens, nothing fancy. It's your household ammonia, bluing, salt, food coloring, bit of mixed all together, and you grow crystals.
What use is the environment around us and the wider community?
Well, there is just so much. As I've said before, science is outside the classroom. So that's where it's all happening, really. We're fortunate that we've got a river just down the road where our kids can go and do bug studies to determine the pollution levels of the water. They also can analyze the bugs that they actually collect. But of course, you need to get the permission from the GDE and from the parents to do that. But in our school grounds, just looking under rocks, under leaves, observing the leaves, the structure of the leaves, classifying, putting all the leaves into different categories, looking at the roots of your grasses, of all your plants. It's just so vast, and everything is outside.
What about people and your colleagues and the learners' parents, perhaps?
We sometimes ask our parents if they've got a specific skill or certain knowledge, if they're in a field of study, to come in and actually chat to our kids about what they do, how they do it. It also, listening to me all day becomes a little boring. It adds variety and it sparks interest within our learners. The wider community, teachers as well, when we go to workshops, we share ideas and exchange. This works very well, or this didn't work, try that. Just bounce ideas off. My kids in my class are wonderful resources. They actually go onto the internet and they bring me articles, or they find a newspaper and they say, Mrs. Previtt, have a look at this. They look in magazines. Have you seen this? Can we try that? Things that I'm not exposed to, but they are. And wonderful ideas come out from them and from staff, fellow colleagues at workshops, fellow colleagues in your own school. They collect articles for me as well. If they're paging through something, they say, oh, Mrs. Previtt can use this. And I generally do. It's changing all the time. It's not static, your lessons, from year to year, because it is science. It changes, it's moving, it's different every year.
It would seem with a little innovation and creativity, all sorts of good things can happen. The same passion we see in dedicated teachers has led to the amazing development of science centers. Many towns have science centers, even Richards Bay has got one. Science centers like Sibona Discovery Center in Newtown, Johannesburg offer students amazing opportunities. Remember to see what's in your area. Let's find out a little more about the Sibona Discovery Center in Newtown, Johannesburg.
Sibona Center has been established to make sure that we encourage learners to participate in math, science and technology at school level. And with the kind of programs that we provide, they are also able to perform better in math, science and technology exams, and later on follow math, science, engineering and technology related careers. We also provide career guidance with a specific focus on science and technology related careers, which is meeting the need that we have seen out there, that learners do maths and science but maybe do not know what options do they have after they have passed a grade 12. We are also improving the public understanding or awareness of science, engineering and technology with the kinds of programs that we have at the center. And we try and demystify the myths that learners have about science, that science is boring, science is wearing a white lab coat in the laboratory, and show them that science can be very, very fun. If a school comes to Saibono on any particular day, we are providing them a lifetime experience of the in-house exhibits that we have. And our exhibits cover all the sciences, which is earth science, physical science, chemical science. We do technology and mathematics as well. And when they come here, they have spent about 2.5 hours of hands-on activities. They play with the exhibits, but then there's somebody who is there to explain the science behind what the learners are playing with. And over and above that, we also provide science shows, science and maths shows where learners participate in a theatrical wow kind of an experience. They also is very interactive. Learners are called in as participants and as volunteers in what they are doing. And then we explain the science behind the wow that they have just seen, or the magic as most of the learners would call it. So it's a wide range of activities that learners experience when they get here.
Remember to contact your local education department or university, as many have wonderful development programs and may have science centers that you can visit or someone who can visit you.
We explored about science and it was nice and fun.
I realized that science is actually great. It's good, it's fun, and I really enjoyed it.
That should inspire many young scientists. I hope you enjoyed this episode.